Pittsburgh Steelers fans, it's your boy here, Gins Dono. Hey, coming at you live. It's not quite that early, but I'm still going to crack open a Jocko Discipline, great energy, clean energy, Citrus Psycho. That's my favorite. I'm not being paid for this, but I'm going to shout it down anyways. All right. So what I want to talk about today is offensive issues. Clearly, we have some offensive issues that need to be cleared up. Now, a lot of the debate going back and forth is this Ben Roethlisberger? Is this Ben Roethlisberger calling the plays? Is it scheme? Is it Randy Fichnter? I think this is the debate that's going to be ongoing in the Pittsburgh Steelers fan base for a long time, at least until Randy Fichnter goes, or Big Ben. But I wanted to bring this point up, right? My point, and the reason why I believe most of it's scheme, and I believe most of it can fall on the shoulders of the offensive coordinator, that is Randy Fichnter, because look at the way this offense has performed under his tenure. Look at the way this offense has performed. In 2018, garbage. Even with Big Ben under center, when we had weapons, garbage. Offense was terrible. Last year, of course, we had Mason Rudolph and Ducky Hodges. Shout out to Duck. Of course, we had them at the helm. We had a really banged up offense, wide receivers, quarterback. Our quarterback obviously was out for the year, along with our running backs. But think about this: does our offense right now, the last 3 weeks, does it look any different than what it did last year with Mason Rudolph at the helm? Does it look any different? And I think the answer to that question is no. Emphatically no. The offense, the way it's running, the scheme, the predictability, the lack of creativity, it 100% looks the same exact way that it did last year without Ben Roethlisberger at the helm. So I think that's something that we all need to take a step back and look. Is this really Ben Roethlisberger calling these plays, coming up with this game plan? I have a hard time believing that. I think, sure, Ben Roethlisberger might have a little bit to blame in this scheme because obviously he is the quarterback and he sees different plays. He sees the different reads on the opposing defense. But I think a lot of it comes back to scheme. I think a lot of it comes back to the offensive identity in which we do not have one. We watched the Cleveland Browns and the Baltimore Ravens last night have a complete and utter shootout. What a game. What a game. Thank you. This is one of the first times that I think Steelers fans really rooted for the Ravens, at least in memories past. But you know what? Listen, that was a great game. And when you sit back and you look at the Cleveland Browns have a much better offensive identity than the Pittsburgh Steelers. Did any of us see that coming? Did any of us ever think or dream or have a nightmare of the day where the Cleveland Browns have a better offensive scheme and a better offensive identity than the Pittsburgh Steelers? That's a scary notion. That's only in 2020. I think Ryan Clark yesterday said it best, is that we had two good playoff contending teams play each other in an absolute shootout in the AFC North, and none of the teams were the Pittsburgh Steelers. None of the teams were the Pittsburgh Steelers. Why is that? What happened? Do we not have the weapons? I think when you look at our offense, and you compare position to position on paper compared to us, the Cleveland Browns, and the Baltimore Ravens, our defense is far superior. Even with Bud Dupree out, even with Devin Bush out, Spillane was out, and even with Joe Hayden out, our defense is far superior, and I think they proved that on Sunday night against the Bills. Far superior. They need a chance to catch their breath. We need to have an offense that can sustain drives. You can't ask your defense to play that at such a high pace, at such a high level. They held the Bills' offense to under 20 points. I don't know what else you can ask from your defense in that situation. I don't know what else you can ask from them. And I think one thing that we need to compare here is how we compare our offensive weapons as compared to other teams in the AFC North. When you look at our wide receiver corps against the Cleveland Browns, I think our wide receivers are better than theirs. 100%. I think they have good wide receivers. Donovan Peoples-Jones is definitely one of those wide receivers that was kind of a sleeper coming out of the draft. Myself, having gone to Michigan and being a bit Michigan football fan, I was rooting for Donovan Peoples-Jones. I was hoping that he wasn't going to go to the Cincinnati Bengals, the Cleveland Browns. I was hoping that he wouldn't go to the Baltimore Ravens either. But he went to the Browns, unfortunately for me and us. But he's great. He's a good football player. He's a good wide receiver, and I think he's proven that even this year, coming into his role after OBJ went down with his injury. But I think when you look at it, our wide receivers, our wide receivers room, better than the Browns, better than the Ravens, obviously better than the Cincinnati Bengals. Our running backs, I think our running backs aren't as good, obviously, as the Cleveland Browns running backs. I think Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb are very capable and very good backs, especially with that 1-2 punch. But I think James Conner and Benny Snell are very capable backs. But we don't scheme correctly. We don't scheme the game right. Listen, the Cleveland Browns, they're a north and south type team. When you look at how they're setting up their runs, they have extra run blockers. They bring in a fullback. They bring in somebody. When you look at the Baltimore Ravens, they bring in a fullback. They bring somebody in for those extra blockers. They get down on a 3-point stance. Booger McFarland said it perfectly. Our offensive line is not punching people in the mouth. They're not hitting people in the face. They're sitting back in a 2-point stance, waiting for them to come at you, and they're being pushed back every single time, and that's the problem. When you look at the quarterbacks, there's only one quarterback in the AFC North who's won 2 Super Bowls. There's only one quarterback in the AFC North right now that I think is going to be a surefire Hall of Fame candidate. I don't think Baker's going to be a Hall of Famer. I think Lamar Jackson, has a potential, and I think Joe Burrow does. But right now, Ben Roethlisberger is still the best quarterback in the AFC North. When you look at the defense, it's not even a question. Pittsburgh Steelers are the best defense, even with the immense amount of injuries they've had. With the adversity that they've had to overcome this year, especially when it comes to being their bye week being stripped away from them, I think that was a huge disadvantage. So what's the problem? It's not personnel. We have the personnel to win the games. We have the personnel to put up points. We've put up points this year. What's happened the last 3 weeks? Has it just been, kind of awkward weeks? Have we started changing the game plan? Did we try to make it a little more simple because we thought we could get away with it? What's happening? To me, the offense looks the same exact way as it did last year with Mason Rudolph and Duck Hodges. But we have a better group of wide receivers this year. We have a healthy James Conner. We have a healthy Juju. We got a healthy Benny Snell. What is the difference? There is none. At the end of the day, what's the problem? Who's the common denominator? And to me, that's Randy Fichnter. I think Randy Fichnter is the one coming up with the game plans. I think Randy Fichnter is the one having these atrocious schemes. I think Randy Fichnter is the one that needs to shoulder most of the blame. And at the end of the day, if you can't scheme an offense correctly, if you can't game plan, then what are you? What are we going to do? Bill Belichick said it best. Bill Belichick said it perfectly. The way you beat teams, the way you win in the National Football League, is you look at the other team, you study the other team. What do they do well? Okay, find out what they do well. Let's stop what they do good, what they can perform well at. What aren't they good at? Let's exploit it. That's how it is. And that's how defenses are scheming our offense. They're realizing that we're not throwing the ball downfield. We're throwing the ball 20 yards east and west. We're not running the ball up and down the field. We're running the ball east and west. I think at the end of the day, we need to come up with a better offensive identity. I think coming up against the Cincinnati Bengals, it's going to be. I wouldn't say it's a test, but I think it's going to be an inside look to see what kind of adjustments may have been made. And I think some very drastic adjustments need to be made, especially with this offensive scheme. Hopefully, we have a somewhat healthy offensive line, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what we can do in the test that we're going to have against the Cincinnati Bengals, and seeing if we can come out and put up some more points on them. Because listen, this shouldn't be a game that's going to be close. This should not be a game that should be close. We beat them 36-10 when they had Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow's a solid quarterback. Okay. We should be able to run up the score on them, no problem. And I think at the end of the day, we need to scheme this game better. We need to find out and look at what they're not good at, and we need to exploit it. We need to run that ball up and down the field, down their throat, in their face. We need to get three-point stances. We need to have our offensive linemen start punching people in the mouth. That's what we need to do. Listen, I think we have a great opportunity here to secure the AFC North. We fix up this offense. We fix up this offense to where we can start putting up 26, 27, 28 points a game. And I don't think that there's a team out there that can beat us at that point. My dogs are drinking a lot of water, I guess. Hey, listen, I'm ready for this week. I'm ready for Monday Night Football. I'm excited. I think we're going to have a good outcome. But again, we fix up these offensive issues. We run up the score. We start putting up some points. I think that the magic number that we got to start putting up is 28 points a game, and we got to figure out how to do that. We put up 28 points a game. I don't think there's a team out there that can beat us right now. Even with the injuries we have on our defense, I don't think there's a team out there that can beat us. Hey, listen, looking forward to Cincinnati Bengals. We'll come back at you here with some more videos. Jens Dono, I'm out.